Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here with a bit of something that I just wanted to do. So, I really considered doing this. One of my viewers who tuned into my stream, which was earlier this morning, suggested that I do like a top best moments in One Piece for me, or the best moments that I thought, and I told him, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm already saying it in this stream. But the thing is, my stream is an hour long, and there may be some of you who don't actually watch it all the way through. So, in order to cut out the middleman for those who don't want to watch it all the way through and probably just want to watch it for my reaction, this is going to be my top big moments in One Piece of the year 2017. Now, I'm going to keep this relatively short because I have toaster strudel, apple flavor with icing all over the top. It doesn't matter how much I try to design it on this strudel here, it always winds up the same. It melts towards the middle and completely covers the pastry. It doesn't matter what design I do, it doesn't last. So, let's get off with it. Well, get on with it. So, first off, the big moment for me in 2017 for One Piece, for me, manga-wise, is the introduction of Charlotte Katakuri. Now, we all know this dude. This dude who was first introduced when Capone was literally part of the head of security for the wedding, before the wedding even started. He is introduced by a patron who was once invited to Big Mom's party, but he refused. And in turn, I believe his father was killed. So, the patron returns in the hopes of assassinating Big Mom. And this is where we're first introduced to Charlotte Katakuri, who's also known as Dogtooth, but no one uses Dogtooth as his name. Charlotte Katakuri is first introduced by killing the patron who wanted to assassinate Big Mom with a jelly bean. With a jelly bean. This is our first introduction to him. And he's just sitting on top of the doors. And he's talking to Beige, saying all the things that Capone is going to say, because he has in it very, very supremely advanced version of observation haki. He tells Capone all the words that he's going to say, and he even sees the future of where the guy tries to assassinate Big Mom. So, Katakuri cuts out the middleman, shoots the guy with the jelly bean, kills him instantly with a headshot through the skull with a jelly bean. Like, how fast do you have to be flicking a jelly bean for it to go through a person's skull? Last time I checked, jelly beans are squishy. But he kills the patron, and then this is when we're first introduced to Katakuri. Tall, broad-shouldered man, extremely long legs, with a giant scarf covering his face, with visible stitches going up his face. We don't ever see him take it off until much later in the story. Now, the thing with Katakuri is he's calm, collected, and he has observation haki that's so advanced he can see into the future, which enables him to see events before they happen. But the downside to this is he cannot see the cause of this event. He can see it transpiring in the future, but he cannot see what caused that event. So that's the drawback. Such as during the party where he sees Pudding crying for some reason, but he doesn't know the cause of it. Also, he can see into the future, but if he uses his ability to see into the future to preemptively strike against a person, then it only works if that person is less reactive as he is. As he attempted to shoot Sanji with a jelly bean, but Sanji dodged. So if a person who also has observation haki has it trained enough where they can dodge attacks, then they can sort of combat Katakuri whenever he fights. Such as Katakuri has been shown to have pinpoint accuracy, and he uses his observation haki as well to plan his attacks, making it pretty much perfect. But if that person has observation, if the person he's trying to attack has observation haki as well, then if they're trained enough in it, then they're able to dodge his attacks. Such as when Katakuri tried to shoot Sanji, as I've said, Sanji dodges it, and he glares at Katakuri. Another thing about Katakuri is he has the mochi mochi fruit, and which essentially turns his body into Mochi. Now, beforehand, when we were first introduced, we thought he was a Logia type, simply because he was able to turn parts of his body into Mochi and allow attacks to pass through him. It wasn't until much later in the chapters that he was classified as a special Paramecia type, which, combined with his advanced form of Observation Haki, enables him to form his body around attacks. So it appears as though it's passing through him like a Logia Devil Fruit user would. So with his Observation Haki, he is able to perfectly see where an attack is going to hit him, and then he turns his body into Mochi to allow that attack to pass through, making him akin to a Paramecia Logia type hybrid, even though he's a special Paramecia type. And with this ability, he's able to emulate the attacks that Luffy has, but he's also able to pretty much upgrade what Luffy can do, such as Luffy's Gatling attack. He's able to do that, but he's able to include more arms, allowing that attack to be more devastating. Or Luffy's Gear 4th form. Katakuri is able to contend with that by doing his own version of Bayonetta's Wicked Weave attacks, and I think, Peerless Donuts, Strength Mochi. And he's able to make donuts shaped like Mochi and cause giant version of his own arms to come out of it, Bayonetta, and allow him to attack, which will also allows him to combat Gear 4th Luffy, which, as we've seen, is strong enough to body someone as tanky and as strong as Doflamingo. Katakuri is able to not only keep up, but also injure Luffy in his Gear 4th form. And he's also able to use another type of version of his attack called Block Mochi, which is not only able to combat Luffy's own Haki, but also injure Luffy when he uses it. Now, when we see Luffy use his Haki is extremely strong. As we've seen with his fight with Doflamingo, it's able to even stand up to Doflamingo's own strings, which are so strong that no one is able to resist them. But Luffy's been able to not only resist, but completely break his strings due to the brute force and strength of his Gear 4th form. Katakuri, on the other hand, has a method of attack called Block Mochi, which essentially hardens his body to the point where it hurts Luffy to punch him, while Luffy is using Haki. So it just shows that there's a high form of defense that can combat Haki and even injure Haki users when they're cloaked in it. So Katakuri has that up his sleeves. And of course we see Luffy combat Katakuri. But the thing about Katakuri is, since he's calm, collected, and Brule boasts Katakuri countless ways, saying this guy is perfect. He never laid down, not even as a baby. He stood straight up. But we see the opposite of that. When Katakuri believes that he's killed Luffy, he goes into his own custom-made Mochi tea house by himself, which 3 chefs come in the mirror world to give him his snacks, because apparently Katakuri is very big on snack time. So when he's in this Mochi building by himself, Luffy is still alive, and he breaks the building, and this is when we're introduced to find out that Katakuri's face, we see it for the first time. And we see that his face can extend extremely large, literally down to his stomach. And it enlarges so that he can eat all the donuts and all the foods that the chefs have prepared for him. And in this state, he is no longer the calm, collected individual that we've seen. He is blissful. He is completely uninhibited. His speech. Did I say speech? Speech. His speech is changed. When it was calm, collected, and hey, he had good grammar, he's now slurring his speech. He's like, donuts, this is living, this is the high life. I can't think of anything else but to eat these donuts. Like, his entire speech pattern changes when he's by himself, and he's smiling real big. His mouth is really big. It's like a grouper. I don't know if he's like a fishman hybrid or something that would allow his mouth to extend that way. But we see his mouth, it's really big. He's eating these giant donuts, and he has a whole bunch of sharp teeth in there. And this catches him off guard because no one has ever seen Katakuri's mouth before. And this, of course, sends him into the rage. He kills the chefs who would prepare the meals for him, all because they say something that makes him think that they're talking about his mouth. Like, we didn't know that he was gonna tear open the tea house that you were in, and then he thinks that they're talking about his mouth. He says, "Whose mouth did you say was torn?" And he kills all the chefs. So this is at this point before Katakuri is able to not only dodge but counterattack against Luffy. Even though Luffy can use Soru and move that fast, Katakuri has been able to anticipate where he's going to appear and still injure Luffy. Plus, Katakuri has been able to dodge every attack that Luffy's been launching against him. It's not until Luffy exposes his face and sees it that Katakuri is no longer the calm and collected individual that we've seen. He loses his composure, he's not able to defend himself as he once was, and Luffy is not only able to hit him once, but twice. And it wasn't until then that we start to realize that Katakuri's observation haki is not as perfect as we originally believed. Even in this state, it has its drawbacks. Should a person lose their composure, the thing that gets me is Katakuri, even beforehand, Katakuri said that emotions have their part to play in a user's ability to use observation haki. And as we've clearly seen in Katakuri's case, he's no longer calm and collected, therefore he cannot use his observation haki as well as he could and see into the future. Therefore, he leaves himself open to attack from Luffy. All because he lost his composure. But of course, after all that said and done, he slowly starts to regain his composure. We see his Peerless Donuts, Strength Mochi, combat Luffy. Luffy gets hurt in his haki while using haki, and then Luffy runs to regain the strength that he lost while using Gear 4th. And that's Katakuri. Katakuri, the strongest of the commanders in Big Mom's army. You have Charlotte Snack, who was incapacitated. We don't know if he's dead or alive or critically injured, thanks to Mad Monk Urouge. We have Charlotte Cracker, who we've seen combat Luffy in the Seducing Woods, who has the cracker or biscuit ability. We have Charlotte Smoothie, who has a paramecia ability to wring out objects, and that includes people. This does not injure them, it leaves them in a state of euphoric ecstasy. But we don't know how it does combat-wise, as we've seen her wring her body out after when the Vinsmoke family fights back against the Charlotte family. We see that Charlotte Smoothie is able to wring her own body out from the poison that Reiju inflicted on her. So she can use that ability to literally wring her body out full of poison, therefore making it so that the poison doesn't affect her. But we don't know what that ability can do combat-wise. And we've seen that she wields a very long sword, but we haven't seen Smoothie do too much combat-wise. Like, we've seen her prepare to attack, or use her paramecia abilities to wring out objects such as a giraffe, a lava rock, which people can then drink and sustain themselves in. It says to have exquisite taste. We don't know the complete capabilities of her devil fruit, but hopefully before this arc is over, we find out what that is. Because I hate cliffhangers. But then we have the strongest member of the Big Mom Pirates commanders, which is Katakuri. And he's the strongest of all of these three, even though he's not the eldest, but he's the strongest person in the army under Big Mom. So that speaks volumes. He also has the highest bounty, 1,500,000,000. Well, actually, 1,057,000,000. 1,057,000,000. I really hope I got that right. He has the highest bounty that we have seen in this series so far. Now, of course, there will be those that says, well, Dragon's the most wanted person in the world. We don't know his bounty. Well, then again, we don't... Camera. Stop. Good boy. But we don't know the bounties of many other individuals in the One Piece world as well. Like, we don't know the bounty of Whitebeard. We don't know the bounties of anybody, of any of the other Yonko. Because apparently... I don't know, either Oda hasn't revealed it yet, or he feels like their power is so immeasurable that they don't need a bounty in order to emulate how strong they are. Or possibly that they can't have a bounty based on how powerful they are. I think I just said that. Sorry. But Katakuri, one of the biggest and best characters that I've seen in this arc revealed. Secondly, moving on to the next one, I could talk about Katakuri all day, I really could, but we gotta move on. Secondly, the introduction of Jinbei into the whole Cake Island arc ever since we last saw him during the Fishman arc. I'm still watching the anime, and I'm still moving into the Fishman Island arc. I'm still waiting on the next set to come out. They still haven't announced when the next One Piece Season 9 set is coming out. Volume, I want to say Voyage 4, because I got 3, but I'm still waiting on the next one to come out. But Jinbei's return to One Piece, ever since we've seen him in Fishman Island. This is during Big Mom's hunger craze, and she's destroying the towns around here. I think it's the Peanut Town, I want to believe, Peanut Town, and she's killing a large number. Well, she kills one of her sons who tries to appease her and calm her down, and she literally rips the life out of him and eats it, and it doesn't emulate the taste of the croquembouche that she wants to eat. Jinbei returns and satiates her hunger by shoving a big giant mound of croquembouche into her mouth. And this calms her down. And this is when we see that Jinbei is resigning from the Big Mom Pirates. And Big Mom, this doesn't set well with Big Mom because she believes that if you leave, then you need to leave something in return. You cannot leave for free. There has to be a payment involved. And as we've seen, Jinbei is a very resolute individual. And later on in the chapter, when Luffy and Nami have been captured by all like Mondial, Amande, and Opera, and the other girl, the one that has the glaze ability that fought against Nami in the anime, the one that has a little devil horns hair, she has a big giant coat over her hair. I can't remember her name, but it's on the tip of my tongue. But after they're all sent away and only Opera is left to look after Luffy and Nami while they're trapped in Mondial's jail book, Jinbei comes back, bodies Oven, and frees Luffy and Nami with a simple word of, sure, we could talk about all this stuff later, but would you like to get out of there? He literally saves Luffy and Nami, and then they go out searching for the rest of the crew. Then he has another moment where Big Mom confronts all of them. And Jinbei therefore verbally announces that he's leaving the Big Mom Pirates. And Big Mom says, leave or life. But the thing is, whenever Big Mom says that, she tends to take the life away from a person. She just leave or life. And if they leave, then they die. And if they say life, then they live, I guess. But the thing is, when that happens, nothing happens to Jinbei. She tries it again. It still doesn't work. And everyone is confused as to why the life isn't getting sucked out of Jinbei. Jinbei retorts that no, for a person to be on the crew of the future Pirate King, no one would dare cower in the face of a Yonko. Jinbei talking, spitting that fire towards Big Mom. So it shows that if a person has absolutely no fear, they can't be affected by Big Mom's ability whatsoever. Period. Jinbei being the very first person who is immune to these effects. When Big Mom is literally trying to take the life out of him and make it come out of him so he can die, Jinbei is unaffected whatsoever. An ability that we've seen nobody resist. Opera's dead because of it. His brother is dead. His brother, who was killed earlier in the arc, is dead because of it. Anybody who tried to stand up to Big Mom and even tried to run away from her cannot run away from her soul ability when she's in close range. Jinbei's right in front of her, but he's not affected by her ability. No fear means that you are unaffected by Big Mom's power. And then in the recent chapter of today, we have Jinbei literally coming in a pinch, saving a good number of the crew. So firstly, we see him use an ability, Kiragi. It's an ability that the fishmen use that allows him to coat his body. I know I'm saying it wrong. I really know Kiragi. I'm literally trying to remember all that he said. but it's an ability that it is akin to coating one's body in hockey. And he defends himself from that. Now we see like a little streak go across his arm, so if that means that he got cut but still defended, then that means that it may have its limitations. And he gets launched into the ocean. And while Big Mom is on the Straw Hats crew ship, wrecking a lot of it, I'm so glad that she got knocked off the ship before she fully destroyed it. Jinbei comes back, and she's setting the sails on fire thanks to Prometheus in her hair. But Jinbei comes back with his Mizugo Kodo Kairiui Panzio, his sea current shoulder throw, throws the water onto the ship, makes it so that the sails are unaffected anymore by the fire, and then he uses his secret technique that he used against Wadasume during the Fishman Island arc, which is called Fishman Karate Secret Technique Vagabond Drill. This knocks her off the ship and onto Zeus, but it gets her away from the ship so that she's no longer destroying it. Plus, even before then, we see that Jinbei is an expert helmsman. He's now going to become a pirate he's going to become a Straw Hat. Now, he's going to become a Straw Hat because now that the business with Big Mom and him are concluded, he no longer has any reasons to keep himself from joining the Straw Hats. So, after this arc is done, I'm not going to be surprised if Jinbei becomes a new helmsman, and then Franky is the mechanic, and he just maintains the ship. I mean, Franky's going to have his work cut out for him because the ship is getting really damaged with Big Mom. But beforehand, while they're running away from Big Mom, we see that Jinbei is an expert helmsman. When Big Mom infused some of her soul into the ocean and used it to try and crash over the Straw Hats, Jinbei has the idea to ride the inside of the wave and make it seem like they died, but he literally pilots the Thousand Sunny into the wave current that Big Mom is trying to crush them with, and they get out safely. And of course, Big Mom thinks they're dead, but thanks to Jinbei's expert helmsmanship, they survive. So Jinbei is one of the greatest characters in this arc. There's so many characters that have their moment to shine, which is why we're moving on to the next one. Humming Brook. Brook has had so many moments, from being able to get shavings of the road poneglyph to talking down to Big Mom. Like, literally, Brook has no chill. When you're on this crew of the Straw Hats, you tend to forget how powerful people are, and you talk to them any type of way that you want to. Brook especially. Like, Brook goes out of his way to say, young lady, who would ever would come to this island and think they would die today? Young lady! Yo, I could talk about that all the time. Like, Brook just talking down to Big Mom. And Big Mom is, like, Brook is older than Big Mom, so he can call her young lady. Like, young lady, who would ever come to this island with the idea to die? And it's just, he's done so much. I still have to watch the anime episode where it's him against Big Mom. I still gotta watch that, so please don't spoil it for me. You probably won't, because as soon as this video's done, I'm gonna be watching it. But overall, Brook has his moment to shine. He saves like a good number of the crew. He pretty much works with Pedro as they distract the good number of the guards when they're getting the poneglyph shavings, and he manages to hide them inside of his head. Now the thing is, the sheets that he used are bed sheet size, like they're massive. But for him to be able to fit it inside of his head, I'm just wondering, does he have a secret hammer space in there? Just wondering. Brook has had so many good moments, and then in the latest chapter of today, he uses his Hanato Sancho Yahatsukiri to cut Zeus in half. And this causes Big Mom to lose her balance when she's riding Zeus, and because that's what all the Straw Hats were aiming for. So now Zeus is no longer being used to transport Big Mom around, but Big Mom is now using Prometheus to do that. Brook has shown that even though he's silly, and even, here's another thing, in this chapter, Big Mom says that when we last fought, to Brook, when we last fought, your sword wasn't able to cut me. And Brook says that may be true, but can I see your panties? Like, Brook has literally a one-track mind. He still wants to protect the crew, but he's not above cracking jokes. And let's not forget his pivotal moment that during the wedding crash plan that Capone and the Straw Hats had in mind. He was the one person instrument in the destruction of the picture of Mother Caramel, a person that Big Mom held in high regard, but does not realize that she was the one who unconsciously killed her in the past. But Brooke is the person who's instrument in the destruction of the picture that would cause Big Mom to go ballistic. And he single-handedly does what everyone is trying to keep the Straw Hats from doing. Like, seriously, slips in with a Luffy mask on, smashes the photo, and then dips. So it just shows... Stop it, camera. I'm gonna work on that in the future, trust me, everybody. There's gonna be better videos, better quality, and everything in the future. But Brooke just shows that he's literally earned this. Like, he's not only earned his keep, but he's earned himself as one of my favorite characters. Like, he was up there, but now he's risen up a couple levels higher. Brooke has done so much in this arc that is instrumental for what the Straw Hats need to do in the future. That it's just crazy. And let's not forget that he saved Carrot from using her Sulong form for too long, which is why we're going to talk about her next. He saves her by being able to run on the water thanks to his, well, undead body. He's able to run across the water, save Carrot, and get her back to the ship. Moving on to the next person we're talking about, Carrot, who's everyone's favorite little bunny mink. Now, the one big moment I'm going to point out to you for her is, well, firstly, I can't remember too many of the things that she's done during this entire arc, other than saving Chopper from Brule and during when they were getting cooked in a pot. But I think that might have been last year's chapter and not this year's. Correct me if I'm wrong, please do. But Carrot's very huge moment is assuming her Sulong form, which is a form that the minks can have whenever they're in direct exposure to moonlight. Well, it has to be visual exposure to moonlight. Because if they cover their eyes with hats, shades, or even cover their face with their hands, then they're not affected and they can't assume that form. But with this form, it appears like she grows taller. She grows taller, her hair becomes white and long and flowing, her eyes become red, and her tail goes from being a bushy bunny tail to being a flowing bunny tail. And she gains immeasurable strength, plus the ability to fly, as she's shown when she decimates great numbers of crew members on the path to Daifuku, and also dismembers all their helms before they can even react, even able to dodge mid-flight from bullets being shot at her. She is able to decimate a great number of the crew without it being too much of an issue for her. And it has its drawbacks, though. Jinbei says that overexposure to this form will cause a mink to lose their mind, attack blindly both friend and foe, and in the end, when they've exerted themselves, they die from overusing it. So that's the drawback of that ability. Carrot, of course, knows this, and she does this in memory of Pedro, done so much, fought Baron Tamago, distracted all the guards so that Brooke could get the shavings for the road poneglyph, and has, in one big sacrifice, made it so that the Straw Hats can escape out to sea. Because if it wasn't for Pedro, they would be at the mercy of Big Mom right now. Because beforehand, Pedros used his candy wall to literally stick the Sunny into the sea and make it so that it can't escape. If it wasn't for Pedro's sacrifice, he literally blew himself up with enough explosives to not only knock Big Mom out of the way, but also injure Pedros and take off his right arm. And also knock the Sunny out of the extremely durable candy that was keeping them stuck at sea. If it wasn't for Pedro, the Straw Hats would not be as far as they are now. And with that in mind, Carrot is pretty much operating using her Sulong form to combat the Big Mom pirate crews with Pedro in memory. Because he echoed words to her that says, I forget what he said, but Pedro was training her when they were younger, and he echoed the same words that I want to say Gold Roger said to him, and then he said to her, and those words are stuck in her head, are stuck with her now. So that's the reason why Carrot decided to use her Sulong form in order to help the Straw Hats because that's the same ideals that Pedro had. So Carrot's up there with my top characters. Next on the list is Sanji. Sanji has shown that he can, if he wanted to, keep himself completely composed during very serious moments. Where it was very easy for him to get awestruck at beautiful ladies. He's now on the opposite of that, due to the fact that he's focusing on finishing the cake that he's going to use to appease Big Mom. Whereas his wife-to-be and fiancé, who could currently still be his fiancé and wife-to-be, Pudding, Charlotte Pudding, who at first was meek and timid, then we find out that she was just like her family members. Then after Sanji said that her third eye, because she's a third-eyed human being from the Three-Eyed tribe, a child whose father was probably from the Three-Eyed tribe, we find that Sanji says that she is beautiful with that third eye. And this is the first time she said that this is mentioned to her, because in her childhood, everyone in her family, including her own mother, Big Mom, said that she was absolutely ugly and disgusting with that third eye, with Sanji being the very first person to acknowledge that this eye is beautiful. So she falls head over heels for him. Every time he does something awesome or even remotely attractive, she loses her own composure, faints, has heart's eyes, and sometimes has the occasional nosebleed. And Pudding went from being like a meek, timid person to a person that I couldn't really tell whose intentions were true, to a person who now supports Sanji. And she has an ability that labels her the Mem fruit. I want to say Mem fruit. I need to look back on it. But she has the ability to rewrite their memories and even erase the memories of people by being able to reach inside of their head, pull out their memories like a film reel, and then completely cut the parts that she doesn't want people to know out of their heads. Such as Reiju finding out that Charlotte Pudding was not who she said she was, and how they intended to kill all the members of the Vinsmoke family. But to ensure that Reiju never said anything, she reached into Reiju's head, pulled out that memory of what she said to her, and then cut it out so that Reiju couldn't remember everything. But of course, there's a drawback, because if a person lets that person know, if a person lets the affected person know that their memories were taken, then that person can recall those events, and that can slowly come back to them, or it'll be like a feeling that they have that says, yes, you're right, those are real, or those memories are real. Charlotte Pudding comes back to help Sanji with the cake by being the chocolate minister of, well, Chocolate Town, with her sister Chiffon being the cake minister, or I forget what her title is, but they work with Sanji to make a cake. And it shows that Pudding now fully wants to help the Straw Hats completely, especially with Sanji. So Pudding is up there with her complete turnaround, and then Sanji showing that he's a absolute awesome gentleman. And I completely went off on talking about Pudding. I'm sorry. Back to Sanji. Sanji just shows him that he's just as big a gentleman as he was before. Sanji not only puts the safety of Cosette, a lady chef that was working for the Vinsmoke family and cooked food for them, he protected her, and not only that, but he appreciated the food that she cooked for him, and was even went as far as to eat it off of the floor, because Sanji doesn't believe in wasted food. And he got incredibly upset when Niji went ahead and tried to beat up on Cosette so much that he went to go literally fight his own brother. Because Cosette was pretty beat up, both in the manga and both in the anime as well. And that's something that Sanji does not stand for. But we see his abilities as a chef come out, because we see him make the cake. Beforehand, him and Luffy had a little bit of a falling out, but they reconcile, and he starts cooking again, and Luffy starts eating again. Because there had been some discrepancies, like some people have said that why is Luffy eating this food, or why does Luffy have to eat all this food when he said he wasn't going to eat anything that Sanji fed him. Well, he had to eat with Cracker, because that was before him and Sanji met up. And then afterwards, when him and Sanji reconciled, Luffy started eating again, because he said that he's not going to eat any other food until Sanji comes back. Well, Sanji comes back, and then he starts eating, so that's solved. But Sanji's skills as a chef comes out, as we see that during the wedding crash, during the whole assassination plot. Sanji is able to fully recall every single ingredient, the structure, the body structure, and everything needed to make the cake that Big Mom was going to eat, because she hasn't eaten it yet. We've seen that he's able to recall it all by smell, purely by smell, and even draw out a perfect diagram of the entire cake. And all the chefs around him are awestruck at it, as the fact that he was able to recognize what each ingredients are, even the ingredients that no one even knew about, that were pretty much transported in secret, that no one could have possibly known about. Sanji's able to tell exactly what it is. Sanji also demonstrates his capability as a fighter, as he's able to, during a moment where Charlotte Oven is about to intrude on the factory that him, Pudding, and Chiffon are cooking in with Pound outside, he's able to save Chiffon from being hit and beat up by Oven by moving so fast that no one can see, because at this point he's trying to hide his face because he doesn't want anybody to know that he's working with them, and thus in part ruin the plan that they have in order to appease Big Mom. He moves in a blink of an eye so fast that no one can see him. Of course, Oven can make out that it was someone other than Pound who did it, but he can't tell who, which just shows that Sanji is ridiculously fast, and he's been holding out, and he's been holding back in his capabilities as a fighter. He has other priorities to think of. He's not going to put all of his ability into fighting, because he could risk hurting himself and thus, therefore, jeopardizing the cake plan. We see his capabilities as a chef because he's able to make everything so perfect. And the thing that gets Sanji as a chef is he does it so well that he even changes the mind of Capone Gang Beige. And Beige was dead set on using the cake that Sanji, Pudding, and Chiffon were making to poison and kill Big Mom. Sanji, with his reputation as a chef on the line, wasn't gonna have any of that. So he gives a piece of a sample of what that cake is. And this literally this knocks out Capone. He's awestruck by the flavor and taste of the cake. Knocks him out so much that his crew's wondering, Fada, what did you do to Fada? What did you feed him? So this knocks out Capone. And this immediately makes Capone literally change his mind on his decision to kill Big Mom with the cake. He's saying like, why do I feel so happy? What did you do to me? Like, he was literally laying out in the panel that you see him laying out on the floor, mouth drooling, heart-eyed, and smiling ear to ear. That one small taste was enough to change the mind of a person who was literally had his entire history of being a pirate stooped in assassination. Literally changed his mind about assassinating a person. So it just shows you that not only did Sanji learn his epic skills of cooking from being with owner Zeph, and as his during his years of being in prison as a child, when he was a kid, he cooked as well. But also his time on the Kamabaka Kingdom, when he was cooking, he learned secret recipes from the Okamas and Emporio Ivanko himself. So it just shows you that Sanji's skills as a cook has reached ridiculously new heights. And it just shows you his capabilities as a chef and a fighter. They have gone levels that we have yet to see. Because in this entire arc, we haven't seen him really fight to his fullest capability. During this arc, we've seen him fight his father, but it wasn't to an extent where he needed to go all out. But Sanji as a whole, he has really shown, and this year really has been the year for Sanji. Because we get to see his history, his family, his mother, who pretty much is the only person that Sanji really takes up after. And we just see that we now know where Sanji comes from, who his family is, why he left, why he is the way he is. This has been the year of Sanji, and I can't wait to see how this entire arc concludes. Next up in the list, we have Nami. Nami has been going in on this arc as well. With her new climb attack, she's been able to pretty much show that she's just as capable of fighter as everyone else on the Straw Hat crew. Another good example of this is how she's able to take control, and well, moderately control, one of Big Mom's own homies, Zeus, by enticing him with weather balls that she manipulates, and Zeus can't find any other way to ignore them because they're absolutely a delicacy to him. And she uses that to her advantage, where she during multiple points is able to injure Big Mom with giant electric shocks from Zeus due to all the thunder balls that he's been eating. So Nami has shown that she's a very capable not only fighter but also manipulator, because as we've seen, when she uses when she uses the Viver card that Lola gave her, I'm checking the heat of my strudels, they're still hot. When she uses the Viver card that Lola gave her, she uses it to her advantage because it also has a portion of Big Mom's soul infused into it. So there's no way that any homie can resist her. So she used that to her advantage, and she manipulates a vast majority of the homies, including King Bomb and also Zeus, into avoiding confrontation, but also using their capabilities to her advantage so that the Straw Hats can succeed in whatever they're doing. She also has Zeus right now. At the end of the previous chapter, chapter 890, she now has Zeus, and now Big Mom is relying on Prometheus to get around. So now she's also can be a bit scary as well, because when she grabs Zeus, she says, when I asked you before, I wasn't asking you to be my friend. I will ask you one more time. Do you want to be my slave? And she literally has Zeus in a vice grip, asking that with a smile on her face. But she has a very devious look on it. So Nami has had her own moments in this arc as well, succeeding in getting her own spotlights. A lot of the Straw Hats in this entire arc have had their showcases of their capabilities of getting out of situations, which makes me wonder how Usopp, Robin, Zoro, and Frankie are going to do when we get to Wano country, because that is next year. Today is the 29th. We only have 2 days left of this year, and then we hit 2018. It has been a big year. There's also other characters who will get some mentions, such as Charlotte Smoothie, Charlotte Cracker, a lot of the Charlotte children, Lady Amande, who's pretty devious. Big Mom herself, I did not expect that type of... Stop it, camera. I did not expect that type of backstory. We see her when she's a child. She's only 5 years old, and she's already bigger than average humans. And we see her parents abandon her on the country of Elbaf. And alongside her, we see Mother Caramel. When we see her younger, she has a powerful way with words that make it so that people who are going on trial, who are let off thanks to her very words. And Big Mom, who at the time is only known as Charlotte Linlin, is taken under the care of Mother Caramel. And throughout the years, she doesn't know how other people work. So numerous times when she sees different peoples with different characteristics, such as Long Arm Tribe or Fishmen, she sees their parts, and she says, well, he looks like this person looks like they're having trouble with their back, so I was just gonna rip their fins off. Or this person has too many joints, so I'm just gonna take their bones out, not knowing that she has an exceedingly monstrous amount of strength for a person of her size, that she would inadvertently kill them if she tried. And is at this time we also see the giants of Elbaf as well. And we also see a young Harudin who is training to become a warrior, where we hear, what is their name? I forget the names of the people who are in Andy's lobby, who are the two giants. I forget. I can't believe I can't remember their names. But we see numerous giants, including the two oldest living beings in the world, Yorl Fallbeard and Jarl Mountbeard. Yorl Fallbeard and Jarl Mountbeard. And these two are the longest, they are 300 years old. And they are the longest living individuals that we have ever seen in the entire One Piece history. Yeah, this video is carrying a lot longer on, so I'll probably just end it with Big Mom here. But we see that they're the oldest living beings that we've ever seen. And during this time, Linlin learns to integrate herself into, giant society. And as Mother Caramel takes care of all these children, later on in life, we find out what starts Big Mom's hunger craze. And at this point, Linlin is a monster, pretty much. She tastes the croquembouche the first time, and she can't get enough of it. But since the giants believe in doing a fasting where they fast for a great number of days and then they eat one day, one big massive feast one day, Lin Lin can't handle it because, well, she's a chubby child, so she likes to eat, and she can't handle being on a fast. So when we see Lin Lin not being able to hold out and wait for the croquembouche to be finished for the giant festival, she goes on one of her hunger pains, and we see it when she's younger, and she literally decimates an entire village. The entire village that she's living in. No one's been able to beat her, and she's standing in the midst of it, unscathed no less. And she kills one of the elder giants. I believe it's Lord Jarl. Lord Jarl or Jarl. And she kills one of them by herself, no less. This is a 5-year-old child who's able to kill an elder giant by herself, single-handedly, without a single scratch. Then, when Lord Jarl wants to take, I keep getting their names mixed up. When one of the giant elders decides to kill her with a sword, the sword breaks. She's not coated in hockey at all. The sword breaks on her skin. Regular skin. And Mother Caramel begs for their forgiveness, and then they move elsewhere. And it is at this point that later in life, as Lin Lin starts to get older, we see Mother Caramel get older. We see that Mother Caramel is not who she appears. We see that Mother Caramel is actually an underworld broker known as Mountain Witch, who sells children to other factions and other organizations. This is how and she also sells giants as well. This is how we have John Giant in the Navy. She is the one responsible for giving us John Giant in the Navy. Now, we've all seen John Giant. John Giant is huge, but we've seen him get bodied by Whitebeard during the Marineford War. But this is how the Navy got a vast majority of their giant soldiers, is through Mother Caramel, aka Mountain Witch. And she also is the first user that we see holding the Soul Devil Fruit. And we see that she uses this ability to make a small sun and bring numerous things to life. And it is at this point where they're celebrating Lin Lin's birthday. I believe she turns 10. Her 10th birthday. If I'm wrong, please correct me. They celebrate her birthday, and they prepare her favorite food, the croquembouche, and she literally goes mad eating. And all of it is all cheering and everything's all fine and well. Then in the panel, if you read the effects that are on that panel, you start to see that the cheering starts to turn to screaming. And at that point, you then start to figure out that after she's done eating everything, you see that there's no one else left at the table. There are tattered pieces of clothes everywhere, and that everybody is gone, which leads one to believe. And thus, and in the future, we see that Big Mom has the Soul ability, an ability that Mother Caramel, aka Mountain Witch, had before she disappeared. So, this leads to one conclusion. Big Mom, Charlotte Lin Lin, as a child, ate everybody at that table, including Mother Caramel, which explains why she has the Soul ability in her. And Big Mom to this very day does not know what happened or how they disappeared. So, and only one person from the thing is, one person from the giant country knows what she did, yet it has never been brought up again. So, Big Mom has gained all this power, but she ate all the children that she grew up with. She ate them. The very person that she considered a mother to her, she ate her and gained her ability, which in the biggest, darkest chapter that I've ever read. And she's gained so much power throughout the years. Struben, a person who could turn objects into different types of food. With those two, they then start the Big Mom Pirates, and she starts her reign of terror throughout the years. As she grows up, marries different types of men, all kinds of men, because she literally has hundreds of children and countless grandchildren. and countless crew members in her crew, because a vast majority of her crew is built up of her own children. So she's built up her power all the way up to this point, and has used her social ability to not only build her own country named Totland, or the whole, and which is a whole cake territory. She's also designated entire islands to certain types of different foods. There's ministers everywhere. There's an entire hierarchy based off of food, and with this, she has asserted herself as a Yonko, because at this point we haven't heard too much about her during the early years, but now that we've seen that there's so much to her hierarchy, that everything is food based, minister based, and that any word or any invitation for Big Mom that is sent out is to be listened to and adhered to. Otherwise, something or someone you care about will die. Period. She has connections all over the world. There is no way you can hide anything from her. I mean, even the Straw Hats tried to sneak onto the island, and Big Mom knew while she was singing about a wedding cake. She knew that they had come in. So Big Mom, strength-wise, she's absolutely powerful. Even with attacks going against Luffy, we see that she's able to coat her body in Haki like Luffy does in his Gear 4 form. In Luffy's Gear 4 form, the pattern in which his body is coated in Haki is flame-like. Big Mom is able to coat her arm. We see one time where they clash in Haki. We see that her arm is coated in the same manner. Flame-like patterns on the end. She also has Conqueror's Haki as well. During the point where Mother Caramel's photo is shattered, she unleashes a Conqueror's Haki infused scream that those with weak wills are immediately knocked out, but is also so loud that everyone has to close their ears because it's that damaging. But it's also infused with Haki, so those with weak wills are knocked out, but those with strong wills are unaffected, i.e. the commanders and some of the children, some of the children of the Charlotte family, such as Katakuri, Smoothie, and pretty much all the eldest beings there. And then we see her strength. She is ridiculously strong. One moment where Chopper and Carrot are looking through a mirror at Big Mom in order to rescue Brook, who at that point has been taken hostage by Big Mom because she believes that Brook is a very strange being. And he's so cute, I want to keep him next to me. So while she's sleeping, one time, when a fly is buzzing around the room, she just haphazardly slaps the ground, and it craters the ground just by her slapping the fly. The fly is dead, but also the entire area where she slapped at is completely destroyed as well. And this is her while she's sleeping. We also see her strength and durability is so impenetrable that Capone says that the only way you're going to ever be able to damage her is if you destroy the photo of Mother Caramel and cause her to go into shock. Otherwise, you will never be able to damage her. And even when they tried to build KX launchers by Caesar in order to fully damage her while she was screaming, her scream was powerful enough to blow up the missiles shot at her before they even reached her. Plus, we see her strength is when she uses her sword, her hat sword, Napoleon, is called, Foreign Treat. She's able to send a shockwave so large that it reaches from the middle of the Seducing Woods all the way out to the sea, and even then split a massive chasm in the wake of that. So her power is her strength is unmatched. And even when she jumped onto the Straw Hat ship, she was literally peeling up the cabins where the ship was, showing that she's ridiculously strong. And this is made from wood that was meant to be durable in the new world. And these cabins are being easily ripped up by Big Mom. Now, of course, you see her putting some strength and effort into it because you see veins being appearing on her arm as she's pulling these cabins up. But Big Mom as a whole, she's one of the biggest foes that the Straw Hats have ever faced. Well, way beyond Doflamingo. I mean, Doflamingo's strong, but he's not Yonko level. But Big Mom, at this point in time, she's been going on for 8 hours in her hunger state. We don't know just how capable she is of using her abilities, but as far as we know, the Charlotte children have never seen her in this state before. And as we've seen that she's extremely powerful, but she still remains her composure, because even in her food crazed state, I'm touching on a lot of things here and then I'm going to end. even in her food crazed state, she's still relatively conscious, because Perros said and lied to her and said that the Straw Hats had a cake on their ship, which causes her to go one-track-mindedly towards the Straw Hats in order to get the cake. Now, afterwards, when the Straw Hats say that they don't have a cake on the ship, well, Jinbei says it, we don't have a cake on this ship. She still believes that Perros was telling her the truth, otherwise she's going to go back, kill Perros with her own hands. And kill Perros with her own hands and rip all the life out of him. So she's still conscious. So after all this is said and done, Big Mom, and this has been carrying on for a while, just the fight and running from Big Mom has been carrying on for so long. It's ridiculous. But this is the strength of a Yonko we're looking at. And the fight isn't over. This may be the last chapter of One Piece for the year 2017, but this arc is not over yet. So this is the strength of Big Mom. I want to know how they're going to contend with Kaido. Because Big Mama says, like, even with all the power you have, even you can't beat that thing. That thing. Not that man, that thing. He has power so great that Big Mom has to say that thing. I can't even describe what he is because he's just that thing. So I cannot wait to see what they do with Kaido. Oh boy, I did not intend for this video to carry on as long as it did, but there was just so many points I wanted to touch on. I just wanted to say thank you once again for tuning in to what I do. Thank you for being there and supporting me. I can't wait to bring you more content in the future. And like, comment, and subscribe. I got a Discord up, so feel free to drop by and chat about One Piece or whatever you want to talk about, because I'm available there as well. Your boy is getting more social. So I will see you all in the next video for One Piece as we introduce it into the new year. It also said that in the last chapter we're not going on break as well, so could we be getting a new chapter next week as well? Let me know what were your best moments of One Piece as a whole if you made it to the end of this video. Let me know what your thoughts on One Piece in the year 2017 are. What were your best moments? What did you think were the worst moments? What could you think that Oda could have probably left out and not even contend with at all? What did you hate? Let me know what you think. I will catch you all in the next video. Have a happy new year. And once again, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And once again, as always, later, peoples!